I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
You tried to say that? What you tried to say?
I'm looking right at you.
I know you looking at me.
I ain't backing down. You better take your old and get somebody to love you.
Damn, Mom.
Shannon Sharpe told her that if she would lose enough weight for him, he would buy her some artificial breasts. Now that's very puzzling to me, Art, because she's already extra skinny.
Shannon Sharpe is heated after Monique took some wild shots at him during her comedy set, joking about his messy legal battle with that OnlyFans model who's slapping him with a $50 million lawsuit. A clip of Monique clowning him has gone crazy online, and people close to Shannon say he's feeling betrayed. He thought his famous friends would ride for him, but instead they're either staying quiet or throwing shade. But here's the twist. Fans are calling Shannon out, saying Monique already warned him about this months ago on Club Shishi. She told him straight up to stop running after women way younger than him who just see dollar signs. But Shannon brushed her off like it was nothing. Now look, his whole image is crumbling. Even if he beats the case, the damage is done. His $100 million podcast deal, hanging by a thread, sponsors, backing off fast, and even his so-called friends, they're dipping too. So what did Monique say that has everybody buzzing? And why is Shannon so salty when she was clearly trying to look out for him? Let's get into it. You don't need no 36-year-old girl, no exclamation mark. That's what Monique said, and now those words are hitting hard. A lot of people were shocked when news dropped that Shannon Sharpe was being sued for assault, but Monique wasn't one of them. She saw the red flags from a mile away and tried to give him a heads up. She told him plain and simple, messing around with younger women who just want a payday was gonna land him in hot water. But Shannon didn't listen. Now, he's knee-deep in drama, and Monique's words sound more like a prophecy than a joke. After all the chaos between Shannon Sharpe and that OnlyFans model exploded, fans were itching to hear what Monique had to say, and she did not hold back. She finally broke her silence during a recent stop on Cat Williams' Heaven on Earth comedy tour, and she made it crystal clear. She tried to school Shannon, but he wasn't trying to hear it. Monique basically said what everybody else was already thinking. Shannon did this to himself. Now, just for context, when the lawsuit news first dropped, a clip from Monique's interview on Club Shishi from back in February 2024 started blowing up all over again. In that clip, Monique told Shannon straight up, "Stop dating girls young enough to be your daughter." She told him to get with a grown woman who's not chasing a bag or clout, someone who actually matches his vibe and success. Some folks said Monique sounded a little too harsh, even self-righteous. But now, even people who don't usually ride with Monique are admitting she was spot on. That whole interview feels like she was calling out Shannon directly, warning him that messing with much younger women just looking for a come-up could end up ruining him. But what did Shannon do? Sat there laughing like it was all a joke, kept chasing after those flashy girls on OnlyFans like he was invincible. Now here we are. He lost his ESPN spot, his money's in serious danger, and that lawsuit could cost him millions. People are pulling up that interview now like it's a prophecy. Monique saw it coming before anyone else did. And Shannon? He had the chance to dodge it, but he ignored every warning sign. One fan put it perfectly. One thing about Monique, she might crack jokes, but she don't tell lies. Shannon Baldhead should have listened instead of laughing. Now look at you. And another fan didn't hold back either, saying, Shannon Sharpe deserves what happened to him. I don't know what advice he was getting behind the scenes, but 3 different guests on his own show tried to warn him. Let's be real, he had Cat Williams, Monique, and Lil Yachty all throw him hints about his messy dating choices. But even with the lawsuit drama and getting dropped by ESPN, it looks like Shannon still hasn't learned. Sources close to him are now saying he was livid when he saw Monique use his scandal as part of her comedy set. Word is, Shannon felt straight up betrayed. He thought his celeb friends would defend him? But nope. Nobody really stood up for him. Not one person came out to vouch for his character, and that silence? That says a lot. The sympathy just ain't there. People are saying this downfall was a long time coming, like this lawsuit is just the final nail in the coffin. Shannon's been making headlines for years, and not for anything good. Now more clips are surfacing that paint an even messier picture. One video that's blowing up online shows Shannon snapping during his own podcast. On the April 30th episode of Nightcap, while talking about the 2025 NFL Draft, Shannon suddenly turned off camera and shouted, "Shut the F up!" It was raw, it was loud, and it showed a whole different side of him. Fans are calling it unprofessional, while others say it proves he's been under pressure for a while. Either way, the cracks in Shannon's image are getting harder to ignore. But wait, it gets even messier. Now Shannon's catching heat for something totally different and wildly ironic. Turns out he said he wouldn't spend more than $30,000 on his own daughter's wedding. And people are calling him out hard because this is the same man who allegedly offered an OnlyFans model $10 million to keep her quiet and not file that lawsuit. Shannon dropped this wedding bomb during another episode of Nightcap while chopping it up with Ocho Cinco. They were talking about wedding budgets, and Shannon said he'd cap each of his daughter's weddings at $30,000. Then he joked about serving spaghetti and fried fish instead of spending big on fancy food. It didn't take long before fans came for him online. They brought up those leaked texts where Shannon admitted the OnlyFans model, Gabriella, was charging him $25,000 per cheek. One fan even said, "This needed to happen so folks could finally see how much of a hypocrite Shannon is." He threw away what little respect people had left. Imagine dropping millions on a woman from the internet, but giving your own daughter a $30,000 cap for her big day? The math ain't mathin'. But hold up, it gets even darker. Fans are now accusing Shannon of being involved in a fetishized race play type relationship with Gabriella. In those same leaked messages, she said something disturbing, telling Shannon she wanted him to put a big black baby in her. Shannon never posted his side of the convo, and now folks are saying that whole race play vibe? That was probably something he requested. Gabriella's a paid performer. She likely just played along with what he wanted. People are seriously side-eyeing Shannon now, and this drama's far from over. And just when you think it can't get worse, there's still more coming out. Meanwhile, even more old clips are surfacing, and they're painting Shannon Sharpe in a real strange light when it comes to women. In one clip that's now blowing up, Shannon flat out admits he paid for a woman's divorce just because he was convinced she was the one. Wild, right? Yet somehow his own daughter's wedding has a $30,000 limit. The internet is not letting that slide. And that's not all. Another clip has Shannon spilling a freaky story about a different woman he was messing with, getting way too explicit. He even threw in a random line about leaving Deion Sanders. People in the comments are dragging him, saying this is exactly why they stopped watching the Nightcap show with Ocho. They were tired of hearing about Shannon's bedroom tales, especially coming from a man pushing 60. But the backlash isn't just from fans. Industry voices are stepping in too, calling out Shannon's judgment. Dr. Umar Johnson spoke up and said straight up, even if this whole lawsuit turns out to be a setup, Shannon had no business dealing with someone that young. Gabriella was just 19 when things went down, and Umar pointed out that the moment she refused to sign an NDA should have been a huge red flag. At this point, fans aren't showing Shannon any sympathy. They're saying he doesn't have the right to be mad at Monique for cracking jokes, especially when she actually tried to school him months ago on Club Shay Shi. She gave him real advice, and instead of listening, he laughed it off and kept doing what he wanted. Now, all that drama's blowing up in his face, and people are saying it's no one's fault but his own. Monique really gave him a heads up, but Shannon laughed it off like it was a joke. Now that everything's crashing down, people are saying he's just facing the fallout from his own bad decisions. And judging by the latest updates, those consequences are looking real heavy. Gabriella's not playing. She's reportedly coming for $50 million in damages. And let's be real, it's not even clear if Shannon can survive that kind of hit financially. According to celebrity net worth estimates, Shannon's sitting on around $30 million. During his NFL days, he made about $22.5 million total, with his biggest paycheck being $5 million from the Ravens on a 4-year deal worth $13.8 million. These days, Shannon's stacking around $10 million a year through podcasts, brand deals, media work, and his luxury cognac line, Le Portier. But even with all that going on, he's still trailing behind his First Take co-host, Stephen A. Smith, who's reportedly worth around $45 million. And get this, Stephen A. just locked in a $100 million 5-year deal, making him one of the highest-paid voices in sports, right behind Tom Brady. Now here's the twist that's got fans shaking their heads. Shannon was this close to locking in his own $100 million deal too. That's right, he was on the verge of a major bag, until that lawsuit dropped out of nowhere and threw everything off track. So now, instead of celebrating a record-breaking payday, Shannon's stuck in legal hell, dodging court drama, fighting for his reputation, and watching millions slip right through his fingers. Things could still go either way. Before Gabriella even filed her complaint, Shannon was deep in talks for a massive podcast deal, one that would have included all his Shishi media projects. Club Shishi, Nightcap with Chad Johnson, Club 520 Podcast, The Bubba Dub Show, and Humble Baddies. On April 18th, just 3 days before Gabriella's lawsuit hit, Front Office Sports reported that Shannon was expected to sign a deal worth over $100 million. That kind of money would have made him one of the top earners in the podcast game. But now, that whole deal is frozen, and if it ends up falling apart, that's a major loss for Shannon, both in clout and cash. On top of all that, the lawsuit's outcome is still hanging over him like a dark cloud. If Shannon loses, people are seriously questioning whether he's even made enough over the years to cover a $50 million payout. Now, to be fair, even if the case doesn't go Gabriella's way, that doesn't mean Shannon's fully in the clear. Civil cases involving allegations like this are tricky, especially when there's a thin line between what's claimed to be consensual and what's being accused. There's also the possibility that Shannon won't be held responsible at all, and he might walk away without having to pay anything. But here's the thing. Even if Shannon wins and keeps every penny, his reputation has already taken a brutal hit. People have already seen those leaked texts and heard that disturbing audio where Shannon allegedly threatens to choke Gabriella. That kind of stuff sticks. So even if the court says he's off the hook, the public might not be so quick to forgive or forget. Oh, even if Shannon beats the case, that doesn't erase what we've already seen. This drama exposed how he really moves behind the scenes, and the court of public opinion, that one's way harder to win. This isn't just about guilty or innocent, it's about reputation, and that's where Shannon is taking the biggest hit. Companies like Disney, who own ESPN, don't care if a judge says you're innocent. They care if your name is trending with scandal attached to it. They care about their image. And right now, Shannon's name is a risk nobody wants to take. Even if he's legally cleared, most brands will still keep their distance. Now look, there's a chance he could bounce back. He's got a fan base and folks love a redemption arc. But let's keep it real. That comeback story is gonna be a long, tough climb. And why? Because Shannon played himself. He ignored warnings from people who were trying to help, Monique, Cat Williams, others. Instead, he surrounded himself with folks who hyped him up while he made reckless choices. Getting mixed up with that young OnlyFans model? That was the move that lit the whole thing on fire. Not just 'cause of the age gap, but the creepy power imbalance and those racial messages that had people cringing. Disney and other big companies want none of that attached to their name. Shannon turned himself into a PR disaster, and now he's paying the price. But what do you think? Is Shannon Sharpe done for, or does he still have a shot at redemption? And should he really be mad at Monique when she tried to save him from this mess? Let's talk about it in the comments. Drop your thoughts below. And don't forget, hit that like, smash that subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next jaw-dropping story. Catch y'all next time. Peace.